Your father never hit you, he never yelled at you, but somehow you still grew up feeling like you were never really seen. He was there, just not present. And that silence, you carried it with you into your relationships, your confidence, even the way you talk to yourself. This video is about what happens when you grow up with a dad who didn't know how to show up emotionally, and how that quiet wound keeps shaping you as a man unless you face it. You don't have to be like him. You don't have to hate him either. But you do have to heal. So let's talk about how you do that. This is the still man where we don't chase status or flex power. We grow quietly, calmly, and intentionally. Today we're talking about something most men never say out loud: how to live with and grow beyond an emotionally absent father, and how to do it without turning into him or hating him, because your healing isn't about him. Not every wound is loud. Some of the deepest ones are quiet, like growing up with a dad who was physically there but emotionally unavailable. Maybe he never yelled at you. Maybe he paid the bills. Maybe you even heard "I love you" sometimes. But the wound wasn't what he did. It was what he withheld: affection, interest, emotional safety, and consistency. In that absence, it becomes a blueprint. You grew up thinking this must be normal, until you find yourself repeating that same distance in your own relationships, or going numb because you never learned how to feel without shame. Most of us were probably taught directly or indirectly that emotions are weakness, that a real man doesn't complain, that if you're struggling, you just need to man up. But stuffing your feelings doesn't make you strong, it makes you silent. It disconnects you from people, it disconnects you from purpose and from peace. And worst of all, you start thinking you're the problem. You're not. Being solid doesn't mean ignoring your feelings, because at the end of the day, whether you ignore them or not, they're still going to be there unless you address them. A lot of men never realize what's missing until much later. You might look back and say, he was never around, he didn't hit me, so what's there to heal from? But presence without connection still hurts. And here's how these wounds can show up as an adult. You constantly seek approval but never feel good enough. You shut down emotionally when conflict arises. You don't trust your instincts because no one has ever affirmed them. You crave mentorship but you fear depending on anyone. These aren't just random flaws. They're echoes of emotional neglect. Too many men go through life unaware that they're carrying emotional wounds, especially when the father wound isn't about what did happen, but what didn't. He didn't hit you. He didn't scream. Maybe he was even around at dinner, at church, at your games, but he was never present. He wasn't emotionally safe. He wasn't curious about who you were becoming. And that's a hard wound to name, but it lingers. Maybe you find yourself always trying to prove something. Maybe you burn out in relationships because you're waiting to be disappointed. Or maybe you shut down emotionally, not because you don't feel, but because you were never taught how to feel in a way that felt okay. Recognizing the wounds doesn't make you weak, it makes you free. Because once you name it, you can stop reenacting it. You don't have to act like you've got it all together just to be loved. You're allowed to need what you didn't get. And that's not being dramatic, that's being human. Let's shift gears and talk about how you start healing. The first is naming what you missed. What did you long for that he never gave? Say it out loud. Write it down, because you can't heal what you won't name. The second, define who you are, not in reaction to him. Saying, "I'm not like my dad" is not an identity. Try saying, "I'm a man who leads with intention. I'm a man who shows up. And I'm a man who's present." And third, find emotional mirrors. Whether it's a therapist, mentor, or friend, be around men who reflect something better. Fourth, practice opposite action. This means if your father never showed affection, start texting your brother, your son, your mom. If he never said "I'm proud of you," start saying it to yourself. Because each time you do, you rewire your story. You rewrite the script. This part is hard because when you start healing, you start seeing things clearly. And that can lead to anger. Anger that he wasn't what you needed, that you had to figure it out alone. that he got away with it. And listen, anger is okay. It's part of grief. But staying in hatred only keeps you tied to the thing you're trying to escape. It's like drinking poison and hoping it heals you. You can stop the cycle without swinging to the other extreme. You don't have to imitate him to prove you're strong. But you also don't have to turn him into a villain just so you feel safe. Maybe he was doing the best he could. Maybe his best wasn't enough. Both can be true. You don't need to be like him. You don't need to hate him. You just need to be you. Solid, intentional, and present. And finally, the fifth, choose to forgive him. Forgiveness isn't about excusing someone. It's about releasing yourself from carrying the weight of resentment for the rest of your life. When you carry anger, resentment, or hate towards your father or anyone who hurt you, it's like holding onto a heavy chain. That chain keeps you stuck, keeps your heart locked tight, and blinds you from moving forward. Forgiveness is the key that unlocks that chain. But it has to be a choice you make, not for them, but for your peace. When you forgive, you're saying, I'm done letting this pain control my life. I'm choosing to live free. It doesn't mean forgetting what happened. It means acknowledging the hurt but deciding not to be defined by it. It's an act of courage, the kind that allows you to heal, grow, and become the man you were meant to be. And here's the most powerful part. Forgiveness helps you reclaim your power. Instead of being a prisoner to your past, you become the master of your future. Forgiveness is a gift you give to yourself, and when you give it, you're not only healing your past, you're breaking generational flaws and opening the door to a better and healthier future. So in closing, you don't have to be like him, and you don't have to hate him. You're allowed to grieve, you're allowed to grow, and you're allowed to lead with that quiet strength the world rarely celebrates. That's what we do here at The Still Man. We help men rebuild calmly and intentionally. My hope is that you'll share this video with someone who needs it. Leave a comment, tell your story, or just drop "I'm working on it" in the comments so that we can support you. And we'll see you on the next one.